Four-wheelers are fun. Boats, four-wheelers, wave runners. You've heard me say before, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy a wave runner. Same applies to these. They're a lot of fun. They're really overpriced right now. I don't know if you've looked. I bought this one for $800. It was broken, been sitting for 2 years, and this shifter was the main crux of that. That's why it sat, is the guy couldn't get this fixed, and so it sat. So what I've done is I've gone through the fuel system. I put new tires on it. Video coming on that. With ATV tires are hard. A bead breaker tool I got sent made it so much easier. So much easier. So stay tuned for that. But for this, that's what this video is about. It's the shifter part of it. So it would only move a short range across neutral. So I didn't know how to put it in park. If I'd have pushed on the brake, it would have gone into park like that. But you couldn't get it to go into gear. When I brought it home, I got it to run on starting fluid in a jumper box, and that was really encouraging. When I bought it from a really honest guy who I have mutual friends, contacts, people, like vetted him. And his brother was the one that reached out to me and said, hey, you want to buy a couple of four-wheelers that have been sitting for a couple of years? And I'm like, I might. I'll go take a look at them and check it out, a little optimistic. And I'm glad I did, because it's turned out good for me, for my girls. They love this thing. And also for my dad, I let him borrow the other one. I got it all fixed up. That one had a fuel pump issue. There'll be some videos forthcoming about that. But as far as the shifter, I went a little bit of a hard route. Buying something cheap and fixing it up, it takes a little tenacity and it takes a little risk. There's a lot of information online, but I couldn't find anything about this. But what I did is I took it apart, looked at it, just read the witness marks on it, read the gate design, and came up with something. In hindsight, I probably could have pulled this boot back and then just saw which way the shift arm was sticking out and bumped it back. But what was happening is there's a stab that picks up either this way or this way, depending on if you're going park neutral. See, I'm connected to one and this one's parked. It's just sitting in the same spot. Go across neutral. I stab into the other one and it picks up and it goes high, low, and then all the way back to reverse. And the push button only works or is necessary for the pin to drop to match the gate for this side. You don't even have to push a button, but out of, say I'm not pushing the button and I can get it in the park just fine. But out of habit in our cars and whatnot, we do that. So, how much did it cost to do the fix on the shifter? I asked the guy if he'd looked into it. He's like, yeah, a new one's like $500. He says, but I've seen online where you can weld it. And I'm just like, man, it's got a hole cut in it where the things are ripped out to where the fender thing isn't attached anymore. No battery in it, that's gonna cost money. The fuel system just seems really bad. The fuel gauge on it seems like it's all opaque and might be rusted. So like, man, this is really adding up. I don't know about this one. He's like, but it's got a good engine. Just like, I'm not looking to buy and sit on a four-wheeler engine. I'm not Austin Niemela, is that his name? Anyway, the dude, he buys working machines and tears them down, sells them on eBay, makes a bunch of money. He's got a big patch of land. He's got a big shop, young guy. His brother, Cameron Niemela, I'm just going to say Niemela because I don't know how to say it properly. He does the same thing with Toyotas. But I'm thinking in the back of my head, when he said that, you could tear this apart and sell it for parts and probably make $4 or $5 grand off of the parts. So $800 is a good deal. As it turns out, what happened was that thing that goes across, the C-clip that holds the transmission cable for this shifting action for all of the gears on the right-hand side of it, it had moved because the cable was off. So on the top part's being grabbed for leverage, as you see here, and then the bottom part's where the cable attaches, and it twists in the middle. So this was blocking so it couldn't get in there, and that's why it seems stuck from above, because it can only go side to side. So I got a new C-clip, put that on, got this pulled out the hard way because I didn't know pulling the gas tank was the easier way. So I came up with a method where I could get, it's like an impossible to reach bolt. Just do the gas tank if you plan on getting that out. I did a pass-through ratchet with a hole in the middle for doing all thread or long bolts, stuff like that, tank strap bolts. And it's got a low enough clearance that it fit in there and did the trick. When I pulled it out, I'm just like, how the crap does this work? In a nutshell, it works with 3 cables and 3 wires. The indicator for park and neutral is on this, and then the 3 cables, you've got a cable for the park, which is clear back at the back of where the drive shaft goes into the differential. That's got its own little gearbox in front of the differential with a little lever that puts it in park. So there's that one, and that's the stubborn ornery thing that's not the transmission cable. So you got transmission cable, park cable, those are 2 of them. The third one, we already talked about a little bit, that's the brake cable. When you push the hand brake or the right foot brake, I mean, if you're double crossing this way, you can get into the park that way. If you don't, it's jammed up, or you can put the foot brake and get it to go. So there's those 3 cables to contend with. Didn't have to do any of that, but I didn't have the information that you do. So when it picks up this one on this side, the other one, it's got like an upside down A like this. And when you push on the brake, you know, it won't move until you push on the brake, and it jumps the little thing up to the top, and then you can go back and forth between park and neutral. So anyway, that's what fixed this. I didn't have to pay $500. I had to pay 2.3 cents because that's $6.99 divided by 300, and that's how many of those E-clips come in a package. So I'm tickled with it. Like I said, I've got videos coming out soon on cutting tires off of these because it can be a real pain in the neck. I cut the front tires off. They'd been on for, you know what, 20 years, and they were so stuck on those aluminum rims, and it was a pain. And then I got offered a tool that breaks the bead. Somebody sent me one of those, and I used that on the back tires, and it was a breeze. It was so much easier. So that video is coming next. After that, I'm going to do a video review on an install on this Kimpex Nomad. This thing is a little gem. My youngest daughter absolutely loves it, and I don't know if she loves it more or if my dog loves it more. My dog loves the padded seat, and he loves being able to lean on these things. And man, you know, if 4-wheelers don't make you happy, they'll make your dog and your kids happy. But yeah, the market price on these is like $5,000. It's just nuts. And I'm all into this thing. I think in the neighborhood of about $1,800 with the new tires and the add-ons. Because I had to do the battery, had to do $100 a carburetor part, $60 a carburetor parts, 2.3 cents for the main thing. The reason why it sat for so long. The battery was about $60, and then the tires, I think I'm into that about 400 and change. And then I replaced this little trunk piece, so I'd have the old cracked one to use for plastic welding the holes here and here and here, the holes I drilled, and then the hole he cut. So my plastic's all good. And what else did I buy? The headlight wasn't working. I got that fixed. It didn't cost anything, just a wire pulled out of it. This was $300. But this made such a big difference for this 4-wheeler that it's worth it. Transformed it. It's like that Outlander Max. It was the other one that I got at the same deal. And this rivals the Outlander Max for 2 people now, you know, as far as being comfortable and being functional. But you got all this cargo space in it. So a video to come on that. There's some things that are really cool. Everybody sings praises of this thing. And then there's a couple of design flaws that are just like, dude, how did you mess that up? Everything else wasn't so good. How did you goof that up? So I'm going to share that in not the next video, but the video after this. Sure appreciate you guys being here. Hope that you guys can get yourself a hold of some deal 4-wheelers and fix them up. The gap between market value, which is about $4 or $5 for this, $4,000 or $5,000, and the, $1,000 whatever I bought, made the difference of just that 2.3 cent clip, or the thing just being stuck and knowing to bump it. It came with the clip missing, so I don't know if that caused it for sure, but that's my guess. That gap in money, with some patience and some hard work, is it worth that gap, that $2 to $3 grand? I say it is. That's a whole lot better machine than the other ones that are online right now. Most everything online is either really expensive or really beat up or needs work. Who knows? Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'll see you soon.